morning and welcome to Inner Circle. It's that time of the week again where we get together and we chat a little bit informally about Key360 and project management and everything around that. We're coming to you here from Pretoria, South Africa, where it is again a nice and sunny autumn morning. So yeah, looking forward to this one. It's going to be an interesting one. So yes, thank you for joining us. On our side this morning, we are still talking about Key360 Essentials. And as part of Key360 Essentials, you might remember from last week and the week before, we're now on part 3 of bad habits die hard. So we're talking about bad habits still around project management teams. And also around the systems that they are using. So we're going to be using Key360 again this morning to demonstrate a couple of these things that we're talking about. But before we get in there, a couple of things I just quickly want to take you through here. And the first one being, of course, like, subscribe, hit the bell button or the notifications button. Please share this with others as well, so that you can be informed from now on when we are having our next Inner Circle session again, so you can join us and listen in and be informed of the latest information or the latest updates on Key360 and what's happening in the project management world. Yes, we like to say this. I think you know by now already if you've been joining us for a while. We say this all the time. There's no real rules here. It's a bit more informal, so it's like a chat. However, I do want to ask this time, if you do have any questions or comments, please, if you can pop that into the chat box so that we can catch it on that side, and then we can handle actually any questions or comments at the end of our session. And we've also narrowed down our sessions. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later as well. So it's a little bit more focused and a little bit shorter than the initial ones, but very good reason for that too. Getting into this side, of course, on the team, I'm Gerard, the training executive here at SSG Consulting. Our moderator here this morning, Corlia, thank you very much. She's our executive chief of staff. And then, of course, on technical side, thank you very much, Martinez, being our IT manager, of course. Looking in from the other side. So they'll be catching, I think Corlia will be catching on her side if there's any comments or any questions. Thank you for that, Corlia. And then we'll just get back to you at the end or next time when we start talking about our next session. So, of course, here, jumping right in, I want to get to Key360 as soon as possible or as quick as possible during our chat. And that is why I mentioned earlier, it's more focused so that we can actually show you our actual platform, what it looks like, the look and feel, the functionality, so you can get to know and familiarize yourself a little bit more with Key360 itself and how it functions and how it responds to the input that we give it. But for this morning, yes, just a recap quickly, we have spoken earlier in earlier sessions about prioritizing what's important, about staying uncluttered, a bit of housekeeping there. We mentioned last time the lack of consistent updates or the lack of training and user adoption. But in this case, looking at bad habits, where they come from and what they influence and what they're all about, this time we want to focus a little bit more on using email and spreadsheets instead. So it's actually 2 different things here. And then also ignoring data reports. Now, as you can see, there's 2 others, looking at data backups and data integrity. So that's for the next session. But the question here is really, are you a part of these statistics, basically? So do you have negative behavior patterns regarding the use of email or the use of spreadsheets instead of using Key360 or any other platform even for project management? And of course, are you ignoring data reports? We're going to talk about data reports briefly as well. In fact, we're going to talk about reports because there's different types of these data reports, of course, out there. So yes, how do we deal with this on our end? So immediately I want to ask, before we even get here to the questions, I want to jump out quickly and let's start with spreadsheets this time. Let's talk about spreadsheets. So I've opened up a spreadsheet here. It is actually something that I just quickly drew from one of the registers, having manipulated some of the information inside there with some filters, etc. But you can see here a typical spreadsheet being used here as a correspondence register. Now, of course, using spreadsheets, nothing wrong with them. It is a good go-to place if you don't have anything else. Of course, the idea is here to actually show you how much better it can be than the use of a normal spreadsheet. In this case here, you can see very, very basic, the layout of emails in an email register, basically showing what was the subject, what was the body, where did it come from, who was it sent to, the dates received versus the dates sent, and of course the recipients, and even the number of attachments here. So this one, quite a nice one. It shows a lot of information, but having this information here draws your span over the entire screen so that you can actually read it line by line and see what it looks like, because everything, of course, here looks the same. Everything, the normal text on a white background. Of course, you can change this up with some conditional formatting too, but you can hear what I'm saying here. You need to really basically do some timber work, some extra, a lot of extra work here manually to make this work. And of course, then this needs to be converted as well before it can be sent out or even captured onto another system if you wish. So working with this also, of course, poses a risk. The fact that usually when you've drafted this the first time and you have not sent this out, the fact is that this is still only available with you, the drafter. So, of course, if something happens to your hardware, your PC, or wherever it is, or maybe the network, or maybe to yourself even, this could get lost to the team. So vital information, critical information that's not really updated live. And that's why, again, also Key360 is so powerful, so that it actually forces you to update your registers live, so that whenever you are updating them, immediately the users on the other end, or around you at least, will see immediately what these updates are. It's already captured, it's already safe on the server because it's available in the cloud. So yes, it's available everywhere, but also it is kept safe immediately upon input. So a little bit different from this. And really, essentially, if you want to see it that way, we during our training sessions used to tell new users that Key360 really is a lot like Excel on steroids here. And you will see just now why. But there's, of course, other forms of spreadsheets as well. Let's jump into Key360. As you can see right here, this is the actual register. So what did I do? I went into, remember, Key360 being based on PMBOK principles, which is Project Management Body of Knowledge principles, international principles or standards for project management, of course. It means that we start on top here with all of our knowledge areas inside of our project. So once you've logged into Key360 and navigated to your project, of course, the first thing that you will see, of course, is right on top here, all of your knowledge areas or your focus areas for all your different team members on your project controls team. So typically, communication, the integration, the HR is there, scope, time, cost, etc., all the way to close out and handover. But then also, mind you, I just want to mention this on the side. Of course, here at SSG Consulting, we've developed this much further so that you will even see logistics management, asset management, and then of course material management as well, with all of their modules and registers underneath. So a very, very interesting platform here, really comprehensive and really able to handle everything, not just project management, but actually business management itself as well. That said, here's the register itself. It's called the email register, and you can find it under this knowledge area, which is the communications knowledge area. Now, as you can see here under communication, a lot of modules, again, looking at minutes of meetings being a formal way of communication. Another formality for communication here, of course, looking at stakeholder management, then, of course, document management, surveys as well. And there you go. There's the email register, because that is, of course, also seen as an official way of corresponding or communicating with others. So yes, inside this module, just this one register here that currently actually captures emails. As you can see here, just a couple of examples inside the register itself, really looking a lot like the spreadsheets that I just showed you earlier as well. Only difference is the functionality is tenfold. Immediately, just by doing groupings or pivoting, I can do this within a second or two, simply by looking at, let's say, for instance, current status. I simply take the heading, drag it and drop it, and I've done the grouping itself. All I now need to do is to expand them, and this is where I get this specific layout or this view from. So see here already, just to recap quickly for those who, for the parts you might have missed, I have split the screen here simply by just, of course, closing up this column by which I have done my grouping or my pivoting then. So, of course, just by closing this up, I can now actually split the screen visually if I'd like to. There's other ways of doing this as well. Of course, on the side here, I can actually draw the pin. So, of course, now if I had bigger columns, let's drag these up, then, of course, I've got some of the columns now pinned on the left-hand side and the others still available for me to move around with. So just for scrolling purposes. So yes, a lot of functionality inside here. Some of it that you will find inside of your spreadsheets typically as well. But the fact that you can actually drag and drop headings or columns entirely, or even go to the field chooser and, of course, add additional columns for you to choose to maybe use for your filtering or looking for information specifically, just makes it so much easier and so much friendlier, and I think more functional inside of the system itself. Really also something that you need to remember as a user here is the fact that whatever you do here, it is the view of the information that you are changing. So to you, it might now look a little bit differently with these groupings, even with maybe a breakdown structure, as you might decide to maybe group secondly by this. So of course now you're building your own little breakdown structure inside of the register itself. So very easy to just expand specifically the information that you wish to. And of course, you can take this and save this layout. But what I really want to get to is to really explain to you that it's really important to understand that this view, this layout that I'm creating for myself with this existing information here, even though the information is live, I'm not changing the information itself, which means someone else, another user on the other end of my team, might be sitting looking into this register and they've got an entirely different view of this information altogether. However, if this makes sense to me, when I go sit in the meeting and I open it up like this, I can focus on specifically the information or the line items that I wish to report on or that I wish to discuss. And of course, that makes life so much easier for me and for the other guys as well, when they can read it much easier and I can read it in a format that really makes sense to myself. So that's spreadsheets and really bringing it into emails as well. So it's a little bit all in one in here. And I think it starts to make sense now on emails itself. Of course, from this information, immediately you can also draw graphs. And again, you can set up your registers so that this is done automatically once the graph has actually been drawn up. Of course, it keeps on reading from the grid. So it all stays inside the same register. There's not a specific register just outside of your other registers, separated from them, containing all of your graphs. It doesn't work like that. In Key360, it's very easy, very nice, very user-friendly. You know where to go when you need to look at a graph. You go to that specific source, that data source, that specific register where the information for that graph actually is coming from. And of course, again, the graph can be saved as a layout itself as well. And if I change, of course, the information that I'm looking at inside here, if I update the information here, if I drag and drop some more stuff, or specifically filter for more stuff, then of course it will affect the graph as well, because everything is connected and it is live. So of course I can make changes to this by just looking at the layout inside of the grid part of my register and updating this, saving these as new layouts, and of course, using these layouts in reports. And that's the next part that I really want to get to this morning is the report. So when I go to the report register here, just quickly an example, as you can see again in our demo project here, just an example of some reports, and one of them being, of course, this report at the bottom here. I just quickly want to open this by just double clicking on the line item itself. It opens up the form, of course, and as you can see here, this is now quickly updating with all of those graphs that I've now saved as layouts and pulled into my report itself. So I'll just quickly give it a couple of seconds to just update. While it's doing that, there you go. I might as well also tell you, of course, this can be turned into a push report. So like I mentioned earlier in other sessions as well, pulling your graphs, pulling your statistics into these reports, that's not all that you can do inside Key360. You can also set this up to be sent out at specific days, specific times, monthly, weekly, daily, whatever it is you need to. And of course, inside here, you can set up who it is that needs to receive these reports. Now, of course, here I've filtered inside. You can see here just by adding people, I'm going to clear this filter, and you can see already all the users in here being uploaded to this project of mine as well. So they all have access, whether it's limited access, restricted access, read-only access, or full access. Whatever the case is, we can manipulate that or change that or update that, or of course, simply just stop their access, but still being able to contact them or send them these reports, even though they don't have access to Key360 itself. So of course, if I scroll down now, you'll see there's a status. So of course, the status history part, like with all of our other registers, for every line item almost inside Key360, there is always a status history part so that you can actually see what's happened over time and when last were the statuses to this updated and who was working on that. And of course, time date stamps together with that. And of course, here we go. The actual report itself, bringing in the statistics, whether it is now layouts that I've built containing tracking grids, containing actual grids with some nice conditional formatting, as you can see here on the top, or maybe some S-curves with some stuff maybe really going wrong. If I'm still working on it, then of course, as you can see in the center here, with some of the filters applied to some of the layouts, you will actually be able to see that some things are still under construction, if I can put it like that. So even that can be included if you wish to, because remember, this is what I also wanted to mention. There's different types of data reports. When we talk about data reports inside of the project management world, it's not only reports looking like this, where it's actually talking about performance of my team and maybe trends that I can see within the project itself. Sometimes your data reports will include data or information on the systems that you are working on. So of course, typically like on Key360 itself. So this kind of thing, easy to build. Again, also looking at how many people transacted in this past week and when during this week did they transact the most. And of course, where inside the system on this platform did they focus their attention mostly. So we can really see that you can draw trends from what is happening on my project during a specific phase of my project. And that really makes it such a powerful tool, so much better than just simply having a spreadsheet. And all this happening at the back, once it's been set up, continuously live with the actual current information being uploaded and updated inside the system. That is just amazing because you are never outdated and you never have the risk of being stuck, being the only person with that information. It's immediately available to the management or whoever is part of the rest of your team, whoever you want to share this with. So of course, it means if you're not able to attend a meeting, the meeting can still continue. Or whoever needs to continue with this information doesn't even have to always necessarily pick up the phone and discuss this with you. Already immediately they can see this, and from this they can of course access the registers and see the actual information for themselves, the detail about it, the remarks that were put with it, along with the status updates, maybe additional information like images as well. So if I close this report, of course, if I go back now to our email register and I open up a line item, you can see a lot of information here being captured from that email. But even at the bottom here, the images, as I mentioned earlier, and of course, I can simply click and say, open the original, and whatever those attached images were, it is opened immediately for us. Doesn't matter what the format is, everything can be captured inside Key360. It's really open to all formats. So again, because of that, such a very powerful tool. And again, also simply so much better than just working on spreadsheets itself. So yes, we said a bad habit is ignoring data reports. Now, of course, the reason why we most of the time ignore data reports is because we have so many emails in our inbox that we simply cannot get to all of them in time. So we tend to actually miss out on these reports rather, not necessarily always deciding specifically to deliberately miss out on information or reports that we receive. But of course, we get flooded with emails in our inbox. So of course, if you need to prioritize specific information, in this case here now, you have a system where you can actually set it up to email you at a specific time on a specific day with very specific information. And that, of course, means that you will know when that email arrives outside of Key360, that differentiates it from the rest of it. So it makes it so much easier to know this one went out late at night, very early in the morning, whatever the case is, whether it's a public holiday or not, the information is consistent and always coming through at the right time when you intended it to be there. So of course, it prompts you to react, to respond in the right manner. And again, that email reaches you outside of Key360, which means you don't have to be online working inside Key360 all the time to be in the know. So again, something that really makes the system so powerful. There's a lot more to be said about the reports itself, a lot of the details. I don't want to get into setting up the reports and all of that today. We're going to get to that at a later stage where we actually use Key360 to start inputting information and taking you through those processes as well. But as I said, we are currently just looking at some Key360 essentials here, very high level, and just giving you a quick look into some of the registers available in here. Again, like I said, also, all of our knowledge areas available inside Key360, looking at specific focus areas available for all of your engineers, your project team, the rest of the members as well, for them to make use of these. And of course, also for business managers, data analysts, etc., etc. So a really powerful tool yet again for you to analyze and to use and decide whether this is really the one for you. I believe this is. So that said, I want to quickly jump back to our presentation. There you go. So we're at that part where we're going to ask some questions, or actually ask whether there are some questions. Corlia, anything from your side? Anything received?
Hi, Jean. No, all good so far. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Again, you are most welcome to comment on this, whether you see this now live or later, and we'll get back to those and check in on those and give you some feedback during our next sessions as well. Thank you again for that and for your time spent with us. Just a quick reminder of our two flagship courses really currently on promotion, the document management course, really doc control for EPC and EPCM projects. And then of course, planning and scheduling also for EPC and EPCM projects. It's both classroom courses and also virtual classroom courses that's available here from us. So please contact us at ssgconsulting.co.za. You're also welcome to scan the QR code here and in that way also maybe get hold of us via your mobile device. And then next time we're going to be talking about those last 2 points about bad habits die hard. And then we're going to be moving on to the next one. So all part of Key360 essentials still, and really something exciting to share with you every week. So be sure to join us again next week. And don't forget, please, again, like, subscribe, and share with others as well so that they can join in the fun. That said, that's enough from me. Have a nice week. Until next time. Bye-bye.